When I was a child, I used to see the kids around me celebrating birthdays, celebrating Christmas, receiving gifts and cards, even candy canes, just the little things. I used to hear the music in the grocery stores, and I used to wish that I could do all of that. Of course, that was prohibited because according to the Jehovah's Witness, it's all false, it's all pagan. And so that was something that I could only observe, never be a part of. Do you know how different I felt than the other kids? How odd I felt when the whole class stood up in front of the classroom and saluted the flag and I had to just stand there? Just so many things. We weren't allowed to participate in any holidays and any celebrations. And we were often made fun of, pointed at, laughed at, and just made us feel odd and made us feel different. I felt ugly inside and outside. I felt different. You know, I almost felt like a child with special needs, but I knew it, you know? And I know I'm not alone in that. It's a horrible feeling, and I don't want my children to feel that way. They look happy on the outside, but when you really dig deep inside, they crave all of that attention, all of the things that everybody else gets, but they don't get because they're different. And granted, the Jehovah's Witnesses will argue with you that that's the way it's supposed to be, that Christ said that if you're like everybody else in the world, then there's something wrong, that you have to be different and people are going to make fun of you. And I don't necessarily believe that everything that was being taught in the Bible was meant for us to take literally in modern times, especially when it comes to things such as the blood transfusion and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to make my kids' childhood a normal one. I want them to have the opportunity to grow up and to become whomever they want to be. As long as they live with my ex and they're raised as Jehovah's Witnesses, they will be who their father wants them to be. My little one is so gifted. He is intelligent. He's in the gifted and talented program at school. He's on the A honor roll. That's all he gets is A's. At the age of 4 years old, he was writing and illustrating his own books. He would put them together and draw pictures and write stories. That's how talented he is. He already knew his timetables from a very young age when he was in kindergarten. But I don't want their talent to go to waste. My older son is gifted in math and science. And one of his dreams was to become an engineer. In fact, I remember I helped him when he was writing an essay to a local news station in Harlingen, Texas, about what he wanted to be when he grew up. And that's the essay that he wrote. He said that he wanted to be an engineer because he liked building stuff like bridges and stuff like that. And he submitted the essay and he won a contest. He won 3rd place. He got a signed football, an autographed football. And then not too long ago, we were talking about that. I took him to the Houston Space Center. And I said, you know what, son, if you like math and science, you know, this would be something good. You could get into this. You could do this. These are what people do for a living. And then he's like, no, that's not what I want to do anymore. And of course, his viewpoints changed. What he wants to do changed because he's been influenced greatly by his father. You see, Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in furthering their education. They believe that they should only make enough money to survive in this wicked world of things that's soon going to be destroyed by God. And anybody that's not a Jehovah's Witnesses will, of course, be destroyed with it. And so, therefore, they should spend their precious time, what is left here in this wicked system of things, preaching and going door to door and trying to convert people because God wants everybody to convert. That's their thought. That's their idea. Well, I don't want my children to be caught up in that thought and that idea. When I was born, my grandmother, who was a devout Jehovah's Witness and still is to this day, this is my mother's my father's mother. I remember my mom telling us as we grew up, oh, your grandma thought for sure she'd never see you guys go to school. And we're like, what do you mean, Mom? Yeah, well, you were born in 1972, and the end of the system, I think, was supposed to come in 1975. And, you know, she said that she'd never see you grow up. And you know what? A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses had that mentality. They were asked to sell their homes, get rid of all of their material possessions, to go into the preaching work. Don't waste your money on getting your dentures fixed, because the end of the system's coming anyway, and God's going to take care of that for you. And my grandma was one of those people who didn't go to the dentist because of that. And she became a regular pioneer, and my father was a regular pioneer, and they spent so many hours, and still do up to this day, preaching and preaching and preaching that the end is going to come. They preached that it was going to come in 75. In fact, I believe Jehovah's Witnesses predicted the end of the times coming 18 or 19 times. When after each time the end of the world never came, they started losing members. And so now they don't give a date. They got smart. They don't give a date. They just keep saying, it's really close. It's right around the corner. It's coming. Can't you see all the bad things happening in the world? That right there, that's a sign of the end of the times. It's going to come. That's what Jesus says. It's coming. It's coming real soon. And that's how they keep their members. Unless, of course, members are not as vulnerable, and, you know, they're not easily, they don't believe things as easy as, you know, some people do. I do notice that most of their members are usually they're people with low socioeconomic class, or people with mental disabilities, or even physical disabilities, or people that have somebody in their family member with something like that. I have noticed that those are the ones that tend to flock more to this organization than anybody else. People who are undereducated, such as my father. You know, if my dad didn't have the Jehovah's Witnesses, he would be nobody. And as an elder and a minister, you know, he's given a lot of glory. He feels glorified. He feels like he's somebody because he has a high position and people look up to him and people tell him how great he is and how good, you know, he can preach and gives his public talks or sermons, as many would know them. He's great at that. He's good at convincing people. And so those are just some of the things that I have noted